This is looking pretty darn good. But you can see that we have just a gap here. We're talking a 32nd of an inch, but we can do better. So I'm just going to put my jack up here. I'm just going to lift it up a little bit. That's because the frame dropped a little bit. You know, like when you support it, it's not perfect all the time. Okay, this is going to take some time. Just get my air gun over here. We got nothing but time. Wish that was true. And then what I want to do is I'm just going to tack it. Like this is really nice. Right there. Just give it a little tack and then we can go to the other side, get that right. And you gotta do all these little things to make it perfect. But you only do it once. Okay, let's see what we got here. Pretty darn good. Yeah, not sure I could get any better than that. Well, we're getting closer. Feels really good right there. And you can see right here, this radius is bigger than this radius. So can't go by that. But we're going to body work this anyway. So I'll put a tack on there, maybe a tack on the other side as well. That should hold that. So I know that some are probably saying, you know, like, why didn't you just beat this out first? Well, it's really nice to be able to run your finger along there and feel, you know, how nice and flush you are. It does make a difference. That's perfect there. Good there. Good there. Feels pretty good on the bottom. But we're not done yet. Got the big clamps out now so I can get my straight edge in here. Beautiful. We're good there. We're good there. So what I want to do is I want to put a couple tacks where it's really good. And then a guy can, you know, tweak things as you go. We'll just give her a little action with this. I'm going to put my fan on. Blow some of this dust with it, but I'm not breathing it in. Down here feels really good. I'll put a little tack down here. that should hold this side up really good. I think it's going to work out fine. Tap that with a hammer. Just to make it perfect. Still moves, so. Let's see how she looks here. Now we check, double check. Ta-da! That is all tacked together now. Let's see if we can see how this looks. That can go in a little bit. But she's not going anywhere now. Alright, what I'm going to do is check my corner to corner here. I got this, I just clamped this one up. We got to do a little bit of fine tuning on it yet, but we'll see where we're at. Yeah, right on the money. So we know we're good. But, you know, like this radius is different here than this one. Bottom radius is a little different. But what I'm going to do is pick a spot that is flush and then put a little tack on it. And then the guy can, the top is pretty good. I'll have to take that guy out. That's right. Too much stuff on it. Could come up just a hair more. It looks pretty good right there. And you slowly just work your way around. And I got a really nice flat spot right there. So I might put a tack on him. As soon as you start trying to move stuff, then everything moves. That feels pretty good there. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grind my little tack here. And that's going to pull this guy a little bit proud here, and that should straighten everything out. That is the theory. That popped out already. corner to corner here. Make sure that we're good again. Check, check, check. Looks good. Good. Alright, she's all tacked together now, so all we have to do now is just V this out, weld her up. Sounds pretty simple. Got a lot of dirt in here. But we're going to clean this all up, sandblast it, make it look all nice and pretty. Everything is looking really, really good. Our measurements are all nice. You know, this is definitely above grade 6. But if you take your time, you know, if you're doing this in your backyard, you're going to have a bit of a struggle, you know, trying to line everything up. You know, I'm in the shop, I've got a laser level, and life just gets a little bit easier when you got some tools. And, you know, it's not one of those simple things, you know, you know, a grinder and a welder, I got tools laying around everywhere here. But, you know, the minor little bit of adjustment that I had to do with the jack to make sure that this is nice and level, that's pretty simple to do. And yeah, don't be afraid to do this. So now what I have to do is I got to V everything out and weld her up. Now, don't just give her a little bit of a shot and think that's good enough. You put a pretty good V in there, because what I'm really hoping is that I get it hot enough that it's actually going to go through and penetrate the other side. You know, this stuff here is a little over 1/8 of an inch thick, so you got to do quite a bit of grinding to do it. And what I'll probably end up doing is just, you know, I'll do a little spot. If you sit there and weld it all up, you're still taking a chance of doing some warping. So take your time, and we don't want to do this twice. So I'll do a little bit, go up to attack, weld it, do a little more, and then just kind of keep continuing around. It'll go. I had to put my smock on, protect my delicate legs, because there's going to be a lot of grinding. Alright, going to throw the fan on, it's going to get noisy. Well, that turned out beautiful. Now, when you do it this way, you do a little step like that. Realistically, if you got a good weld in there, this is never gonna break. You won't have to gusset that. Now, one of the things, you know, you got your welder going, you're all excited, but don't be welding these holes up until you move them. They got to go a foot that way, so you need to know where the measurements are. That's an easy weld for later. But if you did not get penetration on the backside, you know, you take your do-more and just V out what you missed and then give it a little shot with the welder on the backside. And then what we're going to do is just get in there and grind that up. And I have to remove that hanger on that other side over there, but no, very happy with that. Now, you know, I'm not one of those guys that has got to grind this absolutely smooth and take a sander out, do all that kind of stuff. You know, I face reality. I don't need to hide from it. And I think that, you know, this is going to get body worked anyway. Just put a little filler on there when I get it sandblasted. And it'll all be good. Let's move on to the next side. I'm going to move these holes. We got quite the inclement day out. I don't know, can I say that word? I love working on rainy days. So put her on the 1, go to the 13. Double check. Let's use this. All right, try that again. No. Get her exactly where it's supposed to be. Let's see what we got. That looks pretty darn good. All right, we'll do the next side over here. What I did, I got this set up so that I can do the bottom ones. I'll do both sides. I'm going to use a pencil for that aspect of the operation. Right about there. And I put it on the 1 just so that it's you get a little bit more of an accurate reading that way. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And I don't think that these things have to be lasered in or anything like that. You just got to get them good. I think that's going to work. I find that the pencil is just a little bit more accurate than what the felt marker is. That looks pretty good. I'll go do the other side, and then we'll do the top, drill those out. I'm going to throw the mount on there now. So I'm going to take these off to paint, of course. Now Typically what I'll do is, you got everything all nice and black, I'll use a grade 8 bolt. And the reason I do, I just like the bronzy look. I think it looks a little less Walmarty than, you know, just going with just a regular zinc look. It's my opinion. If you like the bright shiny silver, then that's what you use. I don't really think that you have to have grade 8 bolts to hold a truck cab up unless you're going to be jumping it. Won't be no jump in my truck. I think what the deal is here is that this is just a little dished. I'll hammer those out before I put them back on. But they're not rusted out or anything like that, which is really, really nice. Fords are really bad for rusting. Then I'll whack these off, and this job is done. Well, over here. Of course, need a wrench. Now I said I was done. I gotta weld these holes up. And this one. Gotta put a bolt in that one. But that'll happen after it's sandblasted. But I want to clean the inside out here. Just, there's a little bit of, you know, schmags on the inside of these, and if you're welding it, you might get a little bit of porosity. So just give it a little clean up. Alright, I just got to show you this. This is my little brother's mock-up so that he can run engines. Just got an old frame. Fire up. Have to remove this overload. So on a Chevy, it just, you know, bolts up. There's actually 6 bolts. There's 2 underneath here as well. That's a lot. And then the spring here just rides on this little bumper right there. Not a bad idea. But I'm not going to need it on this truck. So let's get rid of it. Alright, gotta find my wrench. Alright, these have all been pre-lubed, ready to go. Makes them a little easier getting them off. So the last process in shortening a frame here is cutting off the back. Now, we have to cut off 8 inches, right about there. But I'm not going to do it right now simply because then I have to store this bumper somewhere. It's doing really fine right where it's at, so I'm going to leave it on there. But if you look at a Chevy here, we're cutting 8 inches off. 8 inches. So if I go from there, my hole is right there, and this one is right there. So my bumper brackets, they don't change. The holes are already there for it. So shortening a Chevy, a pretty easy thing to do. Done. Well, we got the frame shortened. I'm really happy with it. So now it's time to move on. Next stage is get this thing cleaned up. You know, figure out what we're gonna do for differential, figure out what we're gonna do, you know, front end. We got a pretty good plan about what we're doing anyway. So we gotta get this all prepped up, painted. And I still gotta cut, 8 inches off the back, but I'm gonna do that when it's, I'm ready. All that is just a zip cut, bang, you're done. This is the tough part. Taking the foot out from underneath the cab, but really it's not that tough of a job if you just take your time and make sure that everything is just, right. The more right you can make little things, the easier it's gonna be. So until next time, thanks for watching. Stay tuned.